I was experiencing a lot of bereavement. I had a very good friend of mine who some guys jumped him, they stabbed him in the throat and he died. Not long after that, later on then, my grandmother passed away. 8 months after, 9 months after, then my mother passed away too. That one really rocked me because that's the first person you know in your life. And then just about 8 months after that, then my dad died as well. Now, taken from there, that I've lost all these people, and then after the relationship I was in broke down, and I had a young one who was abducted to another country as well, so everything had crashed. On top of that, it just got worse where I lost my job, I had no finances, losing where I'm living. A dear friend of mine who was quite close, we walked down to, it was Dalston actually, and it was the market. When I entered the market, there was a group of people there, and what happened was, one of them particularly handed me this newspaper, and when he handed me this newsletter, something inside me said, look, why don't you go and have a look? So I went, and I saw a lot of people screaming and praying, and I thought, this isn't really for me at the time, and I left. But I left there with a massive headache and still not right, and things kind of got worse. And it came to the point where you've got nothing to cling to. But I remember when somebody else, I was having a battle, I was with a solicitor, and he turned to me and he had his book, and he closed his book and he said, Mr. Brown, are you a man of God? And I thought, let me go back to that place and have a look. From the moment I went back to the church, my whole life changed. I was being counselled by one of the pastors there who advised a chain of prayer. What else could I hold on to? I had nothing else. So I went with it. Today, I'm happily remarried. My career is going up and up. Everything around me is just good. And the main thing was, when I would go back to when I was in the market, the gentleman who actually came up to and gave me that newspaper, he probably wouldn't remember now, was Mr. Effie. That actually invited me. I've never regretted that day.
This is an encouragement for us to continue doing what we do, to put smiles on as many people's faces as we can. Because what we do, it's really a priceless gift that we can give to people, and the joy is to see them here with us.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's Finding Answers. I have my two guests with me, Peta-Kay to my right, and Juliana to my left. And on tonight's program, we are talking about depression. How can I move on from depression? Is it actually possible? If you are going through depression, or you know someone that is, you know, it seems as though you're in a deep pit. You feel as though you're alone, no one understands you, you don't have energy to do anything, and maybe all you want to do is crawl in a hole and die. Maybe you've tried to take your own life. Well, my guests tonight are going to be telling their story. Actually, they're still quite young, but they've gone through a lot in their young lives, and both of them were depressed for different reasons. But as you can see on Finding Answers, that people come on and they do tell the positive story of how their life has changed. And if you are depressed, if you're going through any serious issues in your life now, then I would ask you to stay tuned, because you're going to hear their stories of how they beat depression. Let's have a look at this video to explain more about tonight's program.
Depression is more than just sadness. People with depression may experience a lack of interest and pleasure in daily activities, significant weight loss or gain, insomnia or excessive sleeping, lack of energy, inability to concentrate, feelings of worthlessness or excessive guilt, and recurrent thoughts of death or suicide. About a quarter of the population will experience some kind of mental health problem in the course of a year. Half of the people who have depression will only experience it once, but for the other half, it will happen again. Living with depression is difficult for those who suffer from it, and for their family, friends, and colleagues. It can be difficult to know if you are depressed and what you can do about it. There are several types of depression, including bipolar disorder, postnatal depression, and seasonal affective disorder. People can suffer from depression for years, but the good news is that there is help out there, and depression can be treated.
There you have it. Depression can be treated. And I know that your doctor may say, you know what, you have to manage it. But it is beatable. You can. There is hope for you. No matter what you've tried, if you say, I'm managing it, well, I want to take it one step further, because you don't have to manage it. You don't have to, be in control of it. It can be beaten. All right? With me tonight is Victoria. How are you doing, Victoria?
Very well, thanks.
Now, what's tonight's topic? There's some stats that you have regarding depression. It's shocking the amount of people who are depressed.
Absolutely. So depression affects an estimated 350 million people around the world. And in the case of long-lasting severe depression, it's certainly a very serious health condition, and at its worst can lead to suicide. So an estimated 1 million deaths are caused by depression-related suicide every year. And suicide rates show that British men are 3 times more likely to die by suicide than British women. And self-harming statistics for the UK show that we have one of the highest rates in Europe, with around 400 per 100,000 people in the population. But as high as these statistics are, we can't be certain that they actually include everyone experiencing depression. Many people will suffer in silence, and they won't disclose that they are actually suffering. And in January of this year, it was calculated that someone will Google the word depression every 2 seconds.
Really?
Yeah, so unfortunately it could be even more common than we think.
Okay. Well, there's the stats. Are you one of those numbers? Are you going through this problem alone? Or maybe you're on some program, or therapy to find help for this, but maybe it hasn't treated it. Maybe you've only hit this level and you're kind of happy where you are, though really you are not content, you're not happy. For some of you that know me or know my story, or actually my wife's story, my wife was depressed for 7 years. And for the last 5 of those years, we were in a relationship. And, I could never understand, though I tried, but I could never understand what it was like for someone to be depressed. I saw what she was going through, and she even said, if I didn't get the help when I did, I would probably be in a mental institution, because she was getting to the point of rocking. That's how bad it was. When you see those animals locked up in a cage, and you see them, even humans, and you see them rocking to and fro, that's the point where she was getting at. But thankfully, she got help when she did. Maybe you're not so serious, you haven't reached that point yet, but why wait until you reach that point? Get help now. And if you'd like to give us a call, we have advisors, we have people that can pray for you, we have people that have gone through it who can help you on tonight's program. So please stay tuned, because we are here to help you. Victoria, what are the contact details, please?
So if you'd like to speak to one of our advisors at any point during the show, then our number is 020 7686 6300, or you can send us an email. Our email address is help@findinganswers.tv, or talk to us via social media. You can send us a tweet. Start your tweet with @FindAnswersTV, or search for us on Facebook. Just search for Finding Answers.
Moving past depression. That's tonight's topic, all right? We're going to go for a break now. And when we come back, you're going to hear these 2 young ladies' stories of what happened to them with depression. We'll see you after this.
Has the US been steering killer drones? reached Syria for several months. But it says it will sell many fighter jets to the Assad.
Welcome to your help centre. Conveniently located right here in the heart of Finsbury Park. Open 7 days a week with 4 services daily. There's surely something for everyone. No matter what time of day, there will always be a spiritual advisor on hand ready to speak to you. Or call our 24-hour helpline, your place to open up at any time of the day. If you're looking for motivational advice, a listening ear, or maybe just a prayer to put your mind at ease, then feel free to come in. No problem is too complex, so don't be dismayed. In fact, we have daily sessions that can tackle issues related to every area of your life, from the inside out. There's no appointment necessary, so you're welcome. And what's more, all the services we offer are all completely free. We offer practical, non-judgmental advice and motivational meetings that will give you the encouragement that you've been looking for. Also, if you're looking for special gifts or an inspirational read, then why not visit our bookshop? We have a comprehensive range of books and gifts at great prices. We also offer free childcare facilities during all of our meetings. So if you have little ones, let us take them off your hands. And for teens and youths, express your singing, dance and drama talent right here in our youth group. Proudly one of the biggest youth groups in the UK. If you need our support, you will find it. From the training centre that offers low-cost courses in media, business and language, to support groups for single parents, the elderly and the abused, free, confidential help is available. We work hard to provide for all your needs, from the inside out. Helping people is what drives us. So you're welcome.
Welcome back to Finding Answers. Now, tonight's topic is moving past depression. There are many symptoms of depression, what people go through. So maybe you've lost a job, and because of that, you are now depressed. Maybe you've lost a loved one, a close relative or family member. That can lead to depression. Maybe it's a relationship problem. Maybe you don't have any money, right? You've broken up recently. That's caused you to be depressed. You know, we have lots of teens who they're depressed now because, you know, they met someone online and who they thought that person was actually someone else. They took pictures of that person and now there's that blackmail. There's this big thing going on recently now. And now that teenager is so depressed, they've even taken their own lives. They're at the point of taking their own lives. So there are a number of issues, you know, as to why someone may be depressed. And you're going to find out, my guests tonight, what caused them to be depressed. And it doesn't matter what led up to your depression. What matters is the solution, how you can beat this thing. Let's meet our guests for tonight.
Pushing me for the rest of the week, so it's like a boost.
Things were really tight.
Today, the way I see myself is completely different.
So once again, my guests tonight are Juliana and Peta-Kay. Welcome to the program. So Juliana, I want to start with you. How old are you now?
I'm 18, almost 19.
18? Wow, I thought you were in your 20s. So even younger than I imagined, right?
Yeah.
But though you're 18 years old, you did go through quite a bit. I want you to tell me, when did this depression, when did you start feeling this way?
I started feeling this way like in my teenage years, like from 14. But it really hit me when it was like, when I started to get into relationships.
Right.
So I got into a very serious relationship, which I thought it was like my everything. And
How old were you at the time?
I was 15.
15. 15, you should have been at school, concentrate on your GCSEs. But of course, you know, teenagers don't want to get involved in relationships. And you thought he was your future husband to be,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So obviously that relationship didn't work.
No, it didn't.
And I assume because you gave everything to him, right? You trusted him. What actually happened? How did it end?
Basically, like, because I left my family, my friends, everything to spend time with him and things like that. So, like, in the beginning of the relationship, it was like everything was perfect and we was going to get married and our life was going to be like a dream.
You planned that at 15 years old?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, like, with time, like, he started to be very cold with me and he was just a completely different person. And because I was so attached to him, like, I didn't care about anything else. When he ended the relationship with me, it was like I lost everything and I had nothing and no one to look to. Really.
So you had your family,
Yeah.
right? Was your parents, brothers or sisters?
Yeah, I had my mum and my sister with me.
Right. So even though you had your family with you, this was your world, which
Yeah.
had fallen apart.
Yeah.
And is that when you started to
Become depressed.
become depressed? How long did it take for things to get really bad?
It was straight away, even before the relationship ended, because he tried to end it like several times, but I always tried to get him back, like, because that was the only thing that I really wanted. So when it really ended, that's when I really went deep into being depressed.
Now, that was puppy love, which you didn't see at that time, but obviously it did have a big effect on you. So tell us, what type of things did you do or not do?
So, like, straight away when the relationship ended, I started to get thoughts to commit suicide, to kill myself.
Already?
Already.
Suicidal thoughts?
Yeah. But I never really had the courage to do it, so I started to take paracetamol, like, every 4 hours I would take 2 tablets.
Why? Why would you do that?
I used that to take the pain away, even though it didn't really work. It was like I was taking a lot of tablets and my body just got used to it. So it would...
You said take the pain away. You had physical pain?
Not physical pain, but the pain of, like, that relationship ending and me really...
But, you know, paracetamol is for physical pain. Right?
Yeah, I know that.
But in your head, you didn't think that way, so you would just take it to try and numb the pain, but obviously it wasn't having an effect. Actually, it did have an effect, a negative effect on your body.
Yeah.
Did that affect your body?
Yeah, I became very weak, and as well because I wasn't eating properly. So my body started getting very weak. I would be walking in school and I'll just be shaking. Like, I remember every break I used to take 2 tablets and I wouldn't eat. I remember, like, being in the canteen and there was loads of people around me, but I'd feel so lonely. Like, I'll look at everyone and then I'll see all these happy people and I'm like, I can't be like them.
Did anyone, any of your teachers or even your family pick up on this, any of these symptoms you're going through?
I think they realized when I fainted in class, so because of being very weak, like, and it never happened to me before, and I fainted, so my teacher started to get worried, and my mum found out, and I had to go to hospital because of that.
What did they do at hospital?
They just told me to continue taking paracetamol, really.
Really? So you weren't eating, didn't they, I don't know, put you on a drip or tell you to eat something?
No.
They just continued taking paracetamol?
Yeah, that's pretty much what they said.
Okay, but obviously that didn't help.
No, it didn't.
Was there any other things that you did because of depression?
Yeah, like, I used to bite myself, like when I used to be very depressed. It's like in that time, when you hurt yourself, like that pain kind of relieves the pain that you're feeling. But with time, it starts to hurt.
Where did you bite yourself?
Like on my arm, yeah.
I know. How would you bite yourself? What would you do? Would you just be there to bite, or what would you, I don't know. How would you do it? Would you slowly bite, or?
No, like, because I never had the courage to get a knife or anything like that. So I'll just like grab my arm and just bite it like really hard. Really?
Did you ever shed any blood by biting?
No, just bruise.
So just to feel the pain. And as you said, that pain, when you feel that pain, it kind of helps.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird, but can you explain more?
Yeah, so like when you feel depressed, it's like when you feel like physical pain, it relieves the pain that you're feeling inside. I don't know if it makes sense to me at that time. That's how it felt. Yeah. Like in that moment, that pain that I would feel physically would release the pain that I was feeling inside. But with time, like my arm would start to hurt, and I'm like, oh, why did I do that?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Did you ever look for treatment elsewhere? I mean, did you go to doctors or counselling or anything like that for help? Not
really. I always kept it inside. I didn't want to show people that that's how I really was. That's how I was feeling.
Okay, Peta-Kay, I want to come to you. Can you relate to anything that Juliana said with your depression?
For me, some parts, for example, where she said when she was at school and she was looking at other people and like seeing what they had, like being happy, that was something that I had as well. Like I'd look at other people and sort of envy them in a way, even though I didn't know their lives. For me, it was like, why can they be happy and I'm not? It was something that I felt very alone with, and I was really, really closed about. I never really spoke to anyone about it. I just sort of kept it to myself. I thought it was something I'd have to carry by myself.
So how did your depression actually start?
Well, it started from a really young age. From a young age, I was very aware of things. It started maybe when I was about 7. It was something that progressed gradually. So from that age, I was like, I'd compare myself to my older sister and I'd think, oh, she's the pretty one. And sometimes people would make comments, like family members, like regarding my sister. So for me, it'd be like, oh, it sort of started with that. So from there, I developed like low self-esteem about myself. I wouldn't think I was pretty. And even when I was younger, like whenever I'd have my breakfast, I'd always throw up. It wasn't something that I'd do intentionally. It would just happen. I'd be eating and then afterwards it would all come up. So it started from there. And my mum took me to the doctors and everything, and they were like...
Would you force yourself to be sick?
I wouldn't force myself. It would just happen. Like I'd eat and then after maybe an hour, I'd just throw it all up. And that started from about 6.
Okay.
So then it wasn't self-inflicted. But as I got older, I started to do it myself because I felt like I wanted to be it. Like in my mind, I had this specific way that I wanted to be. And like I'd look in the mirror and I'd think, oh, look at me, and I'd hate myself. So for me, it started really, really young. And it was just something I sort of kept to myself. Like even my mum, she could see, like those that were close to me, they could see that I wasn't happy, but I was always very close. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. That was my line for everything. I could be crying, but I'm fine. And I just kept everything to myself, if that makes sense.
So it started off with family?
It started off family. So maybe around 5, I was a happy child. But then there was like a breakdown in my family. There was like always arguments and things like that. And I'd see it. So for me, it's sort of, I always attribute it to myself, thinking that it's my fault. So it started with me blaming myself, even though it had nothing to do with me. It wasn't my fault. But I would think, oh, it's my fault. And then there'd be that sort of weighing on my mind, and I think, oh, it's my fault. So then I wouldn't be happy. I'd like see other people, or they'd look at me and think, oh, your family's so nice. But then it's like, no, it's not.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When someone is depressed, they can't kind of take themselves out of that situation and kind of listen to what other people say. It's not like that. But in your world, in your head, it's like everything is wrong. Everything is bad, right? And you know, if you are facing this, if you're going through this now, stop to think, look, can my life really change? Is it really that bad? I don't know if you can actually step out of yourself when you are depressed and kind of think objectively, but obviously you couldn't, whereas other people could say, no, it's not like that, it's not that bad? Did you found it quite hard?
Well, I'd say that my depression, like, as it got gradually, as I got older, that's when it got a lot worse. Because like problems in my family, and then it wasn't really linked with problems. It wasn't because I'm depressed because of this or that. It's like I just had this hate for myself, and that led me to be depressed. I'd always like do well in school and things like that, but when it came to me, I hated myself. I didn't like the way I looked. I just hated myself, and I was so negative as well. And like even in school, they joke around and call me like negative, because that's what I was. I'd always see the negative in everything. I was very pessimistic.
But you joke about it.
I'd joke about it, but in my mind, I was very, like, if I would meet someone, I'd always think, oh, what do they want? I was very paranoid in terms of like trusting people. Like from the outside, it seemed like, oh, she's got so many friends. Like my mom would even say, oh, you've got so many friends. And I'm like, no, I had a lot of really, really intense trust issues. Because in my mind, I just thought that person wants to hurt me.
In Juliana's case, she mentioned that she started taking tablets and she started biting herself. Did you do anything extreme or even worse than that?
Well, I didn't do tablets or anything like that. Although I would think, they were, like, do you know when you watch movies, and in my mind, for people it's just a movie, but I think, oh, I'd want to try that. Like when I'd see people slitting their wrists, like in my mind, I think, oh, maybe I should try that. But then I never had the courage to do it. It would come to my mind to do it, but then I thought, oh no, but what if someone finds me? So then I didn't do that. But what I did to numb the pain was that I started drinking. It started from when I was about 13. Well, it was actually my 13th birthday it started. And I was with my friends at her house, and then her mum wasn't there, so we just took some of the alcohol, which was only a little bit. But how I felt in that moment, I was good. I could forget all my problems and everything, and I was happy. I was having fun with my friends. So it started from there. After that, it was like I'd do anything I could to get alcohol. Like me and my friends would ask random people on the street, oh, can you buy us a drink, please? Like we'd give them the money to get it. And it became my escape. It became my way of just forgetting everything.
It's that high that you felt, that happy
that high
feeling which alcohol or even drugs has on a person.
And even the person I was the fun person, and everyone would be like, oh, Peta-Kay, you're so strong, you never get drunk. I'm like, yeah. So for me, it made me into a person that I liked being. So,
but because you didn't drink alcohol all the time, that numbness would wear off.
Yeah, it would.
And I assume reality would hit you again.
Yeah, that's precisely. It was only the weekend that I could have that sort of fun, but weekday, I had that feeling with me all the time.
How would you feel, alone at night in your bedroom? How would you feel?
For me, I'd feel alone. Like, in terms of like going to sleep, it would take me a while, and sometimes I just have really like bad dreams and things like that. So in terms of sleeping, I was never comfortable. It's like I always had something negative. I just didn't feel
right.
I just didn't feel right within myself. It just felt like I had this hole inside of me, and nothing that I did, like temporarily could feel it, like drinking, my friends, but then after it wears off, I still have that feeling inside of me.
Did you ever kind of look for help, treatments or counselling, anything like that?
I did in my own kind of way, but because I was very close about the real issues that I was going through, I didn't get the help that I needed at that time. Like, because of the depression that I went through, I used to get very intense headaches. Like all the time, I'd just feel these really, really bad headaches. And I even spoke to my friends about it, and they're like, oh my gosh, they just made it worse for me. They're like, oh, maybe you have a tumor. And I'll think, oh my gosh. So I got really scared about it, and I went to the doctors with my mum, but they just thought, oh, maybe it's just exam stress. So then I'd start taking like painkillers just for the headaches. So for me, that was me seeking help, but because I wasn't really open about what I was going through, no one was able to help me at that time.
Right. If you can identify with anything Juliana or Peta-Kay said, then there is an outlet for you to find help, right? You can give us a call now. The number's on the screen. It's 0207 686 6300. If you give that number a call, there'll be an advisor at the other end of the line to take some details. They will advise you if you want. They can refer you to other organizations if you wish on our database. If you would like even a prayer, then it's free of charge. No one, we're not going to charge you for anything. All it is just the cost of the phone call. All right. After the break, we are going to hear how both of them, what they did to beat their depression. And as well, near the end, we're going to have Phyllis Chan, who'll be talking more about this subject. We'll see you after this break.
Do the maths. Changing your life is not as simple as changing your hairstyle, your shirt, or rearranging the furniture in your living room. You're talking about years of deep-rooted habits, behaviours and problems that are not going to change overnight. Many may say, think positively, but the trouble with that is that you can't do or change anything with just thoughts. But add action into the equation and the outcome can be different. Let's do the maths. Positive thinking plus action equals a change. Whatever it is, if the change is significant, if it's worthwhile, then it will have to take time, effort, and homework from you.
As a man, I understand the struggles men like me go through. They need to be strong always and not to show any weakness, even though it's there. To be a leader to our family, to our wife and kids, when we really wish someone else would show us the way. To choose what is right in a world of wrongs. To admit to our mistakes when our egos don't want us to be exposed. To learn to be a man when we're still only a boy inside. Being a man is not easy. But hard is also a part of being a man. We don't like anything easy. We want challenges. We want to prove that we can do it. That we are bigger than the problems staring us in the face. That's why we go to the moon, we climb the Everest, we sail around the world, and build fast cars. We like the feeling of accomplishment. And please don't ever tell us it can't be done. We will die trying. Being a man is not easy, but we wouldn't have it any other way. And yet, the true conquest of a man is not measured by his money, power, or fame. His greatest achievement is to overcome himself.
Welcome back to Finding Answers. Now, tonight's topic, if you just joined us, is moving past depression. Before we go to my guests and find out how they beat depression, I just want to remind you of the number to call if you would like advice, if you would like help, just someone to listen to what you're going through. That number's on your screen now. It's 0207 686 6300. All right. Now, back to Juliana and Peta-Kay. Hi. Doing well?
Yep.
Now, big smiles on your face, right? You have beaten depression. Would you say it's possible?
Yes.
Definitely.
Okay. Before we talk about how you changed, I want to find out, Juliana, from you first of all, the worst moment. What was the worst moment in all of this?
For me, the worst moment in all of this was like wanting to kill myself, really. Like I really felt like there was no way out, that no matter, even though my family and friends were there, but it was like for me, nobody was there. I couldn't trust anyone. Yeah.
And, you know, all started off, you couldn't trust your own family in this. And this was just because of a boy, right? The breakup of a relationship, your first relationship. Do I take it?
No, it wasn't my first.
Okay. So, you know, any relationship, at a young age, you have your whole life ahead of you, but yet you thought your life had come to an end.
Yeah.
So you just have these thoughts of taking your life.
Yeah.
Did you ever try? You didn't?
I never really had the courage, like I was saying before. Like I used to try and take my pain away with different things, but I never had the courage to kill myself or to do anything like hurting myself.
So deep down, you wanted to live.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone wants to live, obviously. Some have the courage to go through it and they think that their pain, you know, ends there. But in your case, you just didn't have the courage to do it. Peta-Kay, what about yourself? What was the worst point for you?
For me, the worst point was I was about 16 at that time, and it's like the depression had gotten so bad for me that I just felt like nothing was going to change. In my mind, I always thought that I'd never be happy. And I just got tired of pretending, because that's what I'd do. I'd pretend that I was happy. I'd pretend that I was okay. But at that time, I just stopped pretending. Like, I'd be there in school and my face would just be straight. My friends are like, are you okay? And I'll be like, I'm fine. It's like I even isolated myself from other people as well, because I just felt like, what's the point? And even when people tried to help me, I think, but you can't help me. I just felt so alone, and I didn't think that anything could change. So at that point for me, I just felt low. I'd even be walking. I remember there was a time I was walking home and I just felt heavy. I was just walking and I was just thinking, like, my life is just blah, like there's nothing to it. I just didn't feel happy. And at that moment, it's like I wanted, if I could have dug myself in a little hole, I would have. But that's just how I felt at that time.
Okay. Now I want to hear from you. How did you change? How did you find the help to beat depression?
Well, in school, I had a friend and she was always like very bubbly, always happy. And I'd look at her and be like, why is she like that? And I didn't understand why she was the way she was. I think, oh, she's so happy. And I remember there was an event going on at her youth group and she invited me to go along. And I thought, okay, let me go and see what it's like. And I really enjoyed the event. And from there, I started attending her church. And the meetings that they had there really, really helped me. It's like, I think the first step for me to overcoming my depression and, you know, moving on from it was believing that I can be happy. Because at that time, I never believed I could be happy. I just thought, this is just how my life is. That's just it.
What was it that you saw? You mentioned your friend's youth group or the church. Was it affiliated to a church?
Yeah, it was a part of her church.
Okay. So what was it that you saw there or heard there that made you believe that you could change?
No, there was something particular that I heard was that I shouldn't accept my life the way it is. And that's something that I'd done for a long time. I just thought to myself, this is just my life. I mean, it sounds silly now, I was 16 at the time, but for me, I just thought, this is it. It's been like this for as long as I can remember. So
you know, just to cut you there, it sounds funny because, you know, people that I've spoken to who are going through depression, they say the opposite. You were told you can beat it. There are other people that say that it can't, I have to accept this depression. There's nothing that can be done. You heard something different and you believed that.
Yeah.
And what made you move on and actually do something about it? What did you learn there?
For me, everything that I learned was positive and was telling me that your life can change. But then I had to believe it could change. The moment that I started to believe that, you know what, my life can change. You know, when I saw other people and them speaking about things that happened with them, I thought, okay, if they can do it, then I can do it as well. So believing that, you know what, my life can change. I don't have to just be depressed. I can be happy. So the moment I started to believe in, put it into practice, because as I said before, I was a very negative person. I'd always be thinking of, oh, what's going to happen next? I was always very wary of people. But then I started to work on changing my mind. And one thing that really helped me, and advice that I received, was that I should think of something different. Like, instead of dwelling on the negative things, I should change the channel in my mind, if we could say it like that. And that's one thing that really, really helped me to change the way that
How
I
did
thought.
you change the channel then?
How did I change?
What did you do?
Thinking positive. Like, for example, if I'd have a thought to say to me like, oh, you know, you're ugly or whatever, I think, do you know what? No, I'm not. You know, just thinking the opposite of the negative thoughts, that really, really helped me. It was very hard, but the more I started to do it, it became easier for me.
And how much was prayer involved in this? Because there are people that would probably hear something similar, but then they don't have that inner strength to kind of put things into action. But how much did prayer help in this?
Well, for me, it helped me a lot. You know, moments where I'd be feeling really sad, or everything that I was trying to change was difficult for me, I'd just make a simple prayer. And for me, that really helped. It's like it gave me that sort of inner strength to keep pushing and not to, you know, revert back to the old Peta-Kay, you know, that box that I felt that I was in. So prayer really helped me.
Who is Peta-Kay today?
Peta-Kay today she's happy. She's not a closed person anymore. And now I can be open, which was something for me, which was really, really difficult. I was always like very, very closed. I seemed very confident, but I wasn't. So now I'm a confident person. I don't need people to approve of me for me to be happy. Like, I'm confident with the person that I am. And
what are you doing in life now? What are you doing with yourself?
Now I'm working. I also have my own online shop, and I'm just building my life. And
now, someone who was depressed wouldn't, you know, be in work, or if they would, they'd be quite low. They wouldn't have the, you know, the energy or the, you know, to start a business. But
exactly,
that's what
the boldness. Even that, I believe that, you know what, I can do it. Believing in my own potential and pushing myself. So,
okay, brilliant.
I'm happy.
Juliana, yourself, how did you find help as well?
With me, like, it was my auntie. She was seeing how, like, the struggles that I was going through. So she invited me to come to her church. And in the beginning, I didn't really want to come because I wasn't really a church person. So when she invited me, I was like, oh, I don't really want to go. But then I came, and when I came, it was like different, completely different to what I've seen before. When I went there, like, it was like I felt a peace, like I've never felt before in my life. And sitting down with the pastor and him helping me, giving me advice, and me putting it into practice really, really helped me.
Tell me what kind of things did they advise you to do?
Like, to not listen to the negative thoughts, and to, like, how can I say, like, to not get myself involved with things that will put me down. So to stay away, to think positive, really.
I think someone who may be going through the same thing that you did, how can I get over this guy? Or how can I get over this girl? I'm sure those thoughts came to your mind as well. Yeah. So when the thoughts come, you know what, I miss him, remembering good times or whatever it is, or how would you beat that? How would you overcome those thoughts?
With me, because like before, even though I wasn't in a relationship with him anymore, like all the time, I'd be looking at what he's doing, like on internet, on Facebook and things like that. I'd be looking at old pictures.
Now you're stalking him.
No, it was really bad. Like, I'd look at old pictures and just cry. And yeah, it was really, really bad. So I deleted all the pictures. I took them all out of my phone. I deleted him on Facebook. So I didn't have access to seeing him, really.
Right.
So, yeah.
That was the first kind of step, right? That was like, you know what, I'm making the step to move on from him. And I want to ask you the same question. How was prayer? How much was prayer? How much did that play a part in your, you know, in you beating depression?
Yeah, prayer did really help a lot. Like, whenever I would feel like, oh, this negativity, this depression is trying to come back, and I made that prayer, it was like I felt relieved. And also, like, it wasn't just me praying for myself, like the people that were there helping me in the church also helped praying for me. So
now, how long have you been depression free?
Just over 2 years.
2 years. No sign has come back at all.
No.
You've moved on in your life.
Moved on.
And what about you? I forgot to say, how long have you been depression free, Peta-Kay?
Almost 4 years now.
4 years?
Almost, yeah.
And no signs?
None of it.
There. Thank you very much for both of you coming, sharing your story with us. Well, guys, look, there you have it. No sign of depression. And people who are depressed normally say or think, you know what, it never ever completely goes away and I can't find a cure. It's going to come back. Well, maybe with the treatment that you are doing or not doing now, of course, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. But guess what? With God, there is an assurance, there is a certainty. And even if you don't believe in God, and I meet a lot of people who don't believe in God, but yet they want to live with depression. They want to accept it. Well, that's your choice. But if I was depressed, I know, I don't care how I find a cure for it. I just want an answer. I don't want this feeling inside of me. And I'm sure that you could agree with me. So if it was a pill if it was, if it was massage, if it was, doing some sort of special treatment, even God. If it's God, then I'm going to try. I'm going to do whatever it takes to try to beat depression. And maybe you have tried a pill and it didn't work. Maybe you have tried therapy and it hasn't worked. You've tried 101 other things and nothing has worked. Maybe, just maybe, you haven't tried God yet. So, why not try him tonight? At the end of the program, we will be going for the prayer. We're going to go for a break now. When we come back, we're going to hear from our expert, Phyllis Chan, about this, and then we'll be saying a prayer. We'll see you after this.
She told me, you are beautiful. I love you. Say again. You are beautiful.
Your destination. A destination that's not defined by your circumstances, by what's happening to you now, by what happened to you in the past.
So today was my first time and I absolutely loved it.
Come and see. They need to come and really test it.
You are a warrior, and we need these qualities that you have to come and defend our household.
Just a big eye-opener on how positive changes will make such a big difference in all that I do, so yeah.
What captured me was the title, The Inner Healing, because I've been going through a lot in my life and I've overcome them, but there were things that I needed to deal with that were deep down on the inside. And it was the inner healing that captured my thoughts, and I was intrigued to find out what was going on.
You get what you give out.
Women need this. Women need a meeting like this.
Hiding in my skin, broken from within, unveil me completely. I'm loosening my grasp. There's no need to mask my frailty, 'cause you see the real me.
They say that home is where the heart is, a place that should be filled with joy, security, happiness, and memories. However, sometimes our own blood is the cause of most of our pain. Before you lose hope, try this. Every Thursday, come and pray for your family and receive the guidance and support that could help you all reconnect again. After all, no amount of success can compensate for a broken family.
So Phyllis, welcome to the programme.
Thanks for having me tonight.
So tonight we're talking about depression. So what exactly is depression and how does somebody know if they have it?
Well, that's an interesting question, really. People generally think that depression is, I feel depressed. They always use that word, I don't feel depressed or I feel depressed. Well, that's actually wrong, because depression is a group of symptoms put together. So yeah, number one thing is you feel low, you don't feel like doing anything, but there are other symptoms that you need to look out for. For example, sleeping really poorly, waking up every night, can't fall asleep, really poor appetite, or sometimes they overeat. And things that you like to do before, for example, let's say I like singing. You know, if I get depressed or I'm actually having depression, I might stop doing it, or I might even not go to work. These are the kind of symptoms that you need to look into. So it's not just feeling low, but it's a combination of different things.
So what could be the possible cause of depression?
Oh, there's so many causes out there. Number one thing is situation. So some people might have gone through a really bad patch, like for example, losing a job or stress at work or even stress at home. Let's say bereavement as well, you know, that's one of the main things that people get depressed. The good news about that kind of depression is reactive depression. So it's reacting to a situation. So most of the time, when time goes by, things get better. They tend to get better too. However, you also have a biological cause of depression, as in some people tend to have a lower serotonin level in the head or in the body. So it can be familial. So, you know, in a family that they have history of depression, the family members tend to have a higher risk of getting depression in the future. So that normally is treated by medications, replacing the chemicals that they're lacking of, and sometimes therapy. So these are the two main things that people get depressed. But also, interestingly, talking about serotonin, there's a syndrome called SAD, SAD, so seasonal affective disorder. So these people get depressed, but particularly in the winter time when there's no sun. And study have been shown that sun actually generates or help us to build serotonin in our body. So, you know, if you don't get the sun, you don't get the serotonin and you feel low. And these patients tend to need like light therapy during the winter time, or maybe even medications. So these are the main causes of depression, I'll say.
So do people have to take medication if they're suffering from depression?
Not at all, actually. That's the general misconception from our public. And they think that, oh, if you're depressed, you have to take a pill. That's not true, because it depends on the cause of the depression. For example, as I said earlier on, if the cause is reactive, like something that just happened, I think talking to someone or having counseling or even therapy would be most beneficial rather than taking a tablet, because a tablet won't change what has happened. Whereas in the cases that if you are low in a particular chemicals and you've tried therapy before and it doesn't work, then I think a medication would be beneficial.
So can anybody truly recover from depression?
I would say so, but I think you need to be mentally strong about your faith, and you want to get better, because in quite a lot of cases, even though the people go for therapy or taking medication, but they have lost the faith of wanting to get better, it's always difficult to get out of the situation, because study been shown that if you, like for example, you get offered to go for therapy, but you don't believe in it in the first place, it doesn't matter how many times you go, you won't benefit from a therapy, because you won't put 110% of effort into getting better. Whereas the people who has positive mindset and wanting to get better, therapy would be amazing for them, and most of them do get better.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me tonight. Thank you.
That was Phyllis Chan. Now, I want to just say something to you. If you are taking medication for anything, you are taking, antidepressant, whatever it is, my advice is continue taking the medication. But I would advise you also to pray about it, which is what my two guests did and worked, and many others, including my wife, who has also beaten depression. So let's go for the prayer now. I'm not going to pray with a glass of water, but I'm going to pray now. Look at depression as this entity, this thing inside of you that you don't want there now. And if you want, you can put your hand on your heart. You can put your hand where the thoughts are on your head. And I would like you to close your eyes and just agree with me in this prayer now. So please, lay your hands on your head or on your heart. Close your eyes. My Lord and my God, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, there are many people, we've heard, 350 million plus people in the world who are depressed. We have many people in this country who are depressed, and they're covering this feeling with alcohol, with drugs, with some other activity to numb the pain. Maybe, my God, this person hears voices in their head. But I ask you now to go where this person is. Visit them in their home. Visit them wherever they are watching or listening to this program now. And this negativity, these forces, these voices this person hears, this person who feels low, constantly low, they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. They can't see a way out. For them, it's like they're in a dark room and they're alone and no one understands them. In the name of Jesus Christ, I pray now that this negativity, this feeling, this spirit behind this heaviness, this depression, in the name of Jesus Christ, get out of this life now. Leave this person's mind and never, ever return again. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. My friend, just as this negative spirit or negative feeling is a presence, God's presence, He wants to fill this gap. He wants to make you be at peace with yourself and with everyone and everything around you. So my God, I ask you now to visit this person and may your peace fill this person's heart. May this person sleep well tonight. My God, let this person feel your touch, a touch inside of them, in their heart, my God, that they've never felt before through any sort of medication. My God, I thank you. And I really believe that this prayer has been heard and answered by you. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. All right. Listen, I'm going to hear good news from you. If you'd like to give us a call anytime, maybe, in a few days' time, but you see a difference after this prayer, then please do give us a call. Until the next time, have a wonderful evening. See you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.